Hey, welcome to the Sharpe Show, guys. I am so sorry I'm late today. I know it is 7:30, 40-ish on the East Coast, and I'm here for the Sharpe Way Monday AMA, as I try to always do to the best of my ability. So this is Valentine's Day, so happy Valentine's Day for all of those of you who are celebrating. And what this made me think about is how many people on Valentine's Day who are actually unhappy. And it sounds bad, I know. But there are some people who are unhappy today. And I feel for the people who are unhappy. Some because of other issues that are happening in their life. And also some who believe that on Valentine's Day they should have a Valentine and don't. There are a couple pieces I want to bring up with this. One, you have to start looking, we all do, not just you as in you, but all of us should be, looking at quality of life in many ways. It is relationships, of course. It's also where you live, how you live, doing what you want to do, all the things that are happiness, not being bothered by others, or not so much, at least I hope, all of those things, right? So yeah, I think you have to worry about all of those things. So if you're looking at a Valentine's Day, it very often is somebody will assume that on Valentine's Day you're supposed to have a Valentine. I get that. Two parts. One, in your life right now, should you have a significant other? That's not always a yes. Depends upon the person who you're talking to. Should you? Not do you. Should you? And maybe the person you're with, you maybe shouldn't be with. And maybe there's you should be with someone and you're not. Both of those could be an issue. But when it comes to that, what we shouldn't do days like this is assume that a day like this, or the people around, should be deciding what's right and what's wrong for you. You should use a day like this as a trigger for yourself, as a symbolic day for yourself to decide, should you be with somebody or not? Is this a good time in your life to find a significant other or not? Or the person who you're with, should you be with that person if you are or not? Either of those things are a good answer. This is what most holidays, in my view, should be used for. They're just social triggers for yourself to think, am I in a good spot? Let me use this day and this holiday to do some self-reflection if I'm in the right spot. And if I'm with the wrong person, is it I'm wrong or they're wrong? Is it repairable or not? And with the right person, can I make it better? Can I make it better? And I bring this up because of that, and also myself. I was not a good hubby today. I was not. I probably shouldn't be doing this podcast, but I kind of have to do certain things. I make commitments I got to go through, but I have not been the best hubby today. I'm usually really, really, really good with days like Valentine's Day and birthdays and stuff. Today, I was not so good. A lot of stuff going on in my life right now. I was not good. And I was okay, but not great. And I accept that. And I say it publicly. I am human and I screw up. So since I wasn't so good today with my significant other, who, by the way, I'm very happy that I am with and have been with now 21 and a half years, a little more than 21 years. Our wedding anniversary, 20-year wedding anniversary is in 2 months. So, but we've been together about 22 years. So I'm very happy I'm with her. But now I got to start thinking to myself, how do I make things better? How do I handle the things that I have put together in my life? The things that I'm working on, and some of you know what I'm working on, and still am able to find the right time and the right moments to keep other aspects of my life together. I talk often about quality of life and happiness. and what we need for that. I talk about purpose, and I talk about feeling loved. I talk about feeling respected. Those three things aren't as obvious as you might think. When we have purpose, and we often do, and we run around doing things, are we ignoring those who love us or need to be loved? Either one. Are we fooling ourselves and thinking that we're being respected when we're actually being used? These are the days to think about these types of things in our life and to not feel sorry for ourselves, but instead to try to make a step towards repairing it and fixing it. So if you look at yourself now and go, man, you know what? I'm glad there's some self-reflection. I've got a problem here. Man, I'm terrible. I'm dumb. I'm bad. I should have done it. That's one answer, but that's not the right one because that's just going to make it feel worse. It's where do I go from here? How do I make it better? These are the pieces that I wanted us to think about today. That's what I think is a reason to look at Valentine's Day. And if people think of other ways, other reasons, whatever, that's what I think is the right answer for a day like this. A little bit of self-reflection for your romance in your life, if romance is right for you right now. And many of us have been through times in our life where romance is the wrong answer for us right now. Bad headspace, don't know what we're talking about. Get rid of that. Shouldn't have romance in our life. And there's times when we really should be in a romantic relationship where we feel good with ourselves. That's what I wanted to bring up before we started our AMA today. I hope that was interesting. That's what my head was today. Personal issues. I'll start grabbing your questions to do the AMA. All right. Let's see here. Michael says, so guys, don't forget to like, comment, and share for Larry Sharpe. That's correct, Michael. Yes, please. He's right. Please like, comment, and share. It does matter. The more people do it, the more I can get out of this shadow banning that I get horribly. He's completely right. Thank you for that. I do appreciate that. Absolutely. So the Scientific Libertarian says, like your spouse because you're doing a podcast on Valentine's Day. Guilty as charged, my friend. Guilty as charged. I will have to do some making up for the future, which that I'm actually pretty good at. I'm actually pretty good at admitting mistakes, even publicly, as you've heard me do it, making mistakes and showing that I am indeed human. And I will always do things right. So yes, point taken. Happy Valentine's Day. You too. Absolutely. Yes. Pete Clark, 30. Is that trillion? Oh my God, it is. 37,556,218,178.22 and getting bigger. Yes. Yeah, the Scientific Libertarian continues, Valentine's Day is a capitalistic construct, which means it's extra romantic. I'm going to go no with that one, actually. That does not make it extra romantic at all. It makes it another reason for us to buy stuff, which is fine. And actually, I don't mind some of these, right? People often get upset when we decide to make holidays that gets us to buy things for each other. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Buying things for people and giving gifts is a good thing. I think people should like it. The problem is when it's expected sometimes, and then people get angry if it isn't good enough. That can be a problem. But even if that is true, if it isn't good enough or whatever the case may be, it still gives you a reason to have a conversation and then begin to recognize what kind of relationship you have, right? If I give you a gift and you're like, well, Larry, it should be this. What kind of relationship do we have? Right? Do I get it? Do you get it? Maybe we don't. So, yeah. Joel says, Hoku made bigger government and more spending, creating an office of the Chief Disability Officer today. I didn't hear that, but that makes total sense. Remember, what Hoku's very good at, her skill set is creating government jobs for her friends and family and cronies. She's really good at that. Like if you're one of her cronies, you're getting a job. She's very good at that. And she's going to use all of our taxpayer money to make sure she pays for those jobs. So that she'll do, and she'll do very well, right? She's good at that. So I'm not surprised. And every time there's a problem, always she thinks, you know what we need? Another commission, office, another thing. We'll throw money at it. That is definitely her way. She's on brand. Makes total sense. Right? I mean, but look, Cuomo did it too, right? Office of Cannabis Management. All these empire development corporations across New York State. Nothing but ways of giving people, power and money grabs. All bad. So yeah, I'm sure. Now you might say, well, Larry, what do you hate the disabled? Stop. You know it's not true. Just stop that. You know it's not true. The question is, am I actually going to help the disabled in New York State? Or am I going to pretend to help them with an office that will seem like I help them and just give my friends a bunch of money, spend more taxpayer dollars, and come up with a bunch of plans that no one will ever use and won't ever work? That's the one she's going with. I'd actually help people. That's what I would do. So, yes. Michael says the real story of Valentine's Day comes out of the Roman Empire. During the last days of the Roman Empire, the Roman Empire banned marriages. Is that right? Mr. Valentine's married Roman couples in secret, and they saw him in the Roman Empire, and they executed him on February 14th. Is that real? I didn't know that. It's an interesting story. I like that story. That's a good story. I like that. Yes. Pete says, roses are red, violets are blue. We should end the Fed and all the wars too. Yes and yes. All of those things are true. That's like roses are red, violets are blue. We should end the Fed and all the wars. Yes, that is a completely true poem. Yes. James says, one of the reasons I think the show Seinfeld is very important is that it showed you can be in your 40s, single, had no children, you're now a loser. I agree, James. This is a very important piece. You should only feel bad about being single in your 40s if you don't want to be single. That's it. If you're satisfied being single, good on you, right? Happiness isn't about how I deem you to be good or bad. Happiness is how you feel when you wake up in the morning, right? Do you have purpose? Do you feel love? And love does not have to be romantic. It can be, but love can be platonic. It can be familiar. It can be your mother, father, sister, brother. It can be your close friends. Love is not doesn't have to be romantic. It can be, obviously, but not required. Love it, but you do want to feel loved. And I think in a show like Seinfeld, I mean, obviously it's just a TV show, but in the show, they're close friends and they love each other. And that platonic love totally works, right? You want to feel like you're valued. Remember, love is not how you feel about someone. Love is how you feel about yourself when you're with them. That's what actual love is. So if you feel important, if you feel valued, if you feel special, if you feel like, you're supported when you're around these people, that's love, not just, I want that person. That's lust, which is a separate thing and not a bad thing. It's just not love. They're two separate things. So you're totally right. I mean, do I think it's good to have children in your life, meaning children around you, seeing the youth? I think that's critical, that everyone should have youth in their life. Does it mean you have to have children? No. Totally fine if you, in other ways, hang around kids, godparent, aunt, uncle, or just you go out, school teacher, insert thing where there are, at some point in your life, the youth is around you. It is my opinion that's good for you. You can disagree. It's fine. Do I believe that you should have children if you want them? But I think having the youth around you is very good in whatever way you can have it. I think it does keep you connected to the future. I think it's positive in your outlook, makes you feel different about yourself. I love what you just put, James. It's totally correct. Yes. Sean says, can we go back talking about Joe Rogan? We can if you want to. I mean, everyone's talking about it. I don't mind. I mean, that was good last week, wasn't it? I think when it comes to Joe Rogan, the piece, there are several, I think, lessons for this. And then there's one terrible sign. And the terrible sign actually is the dying flailings of CNN. That's bad. Like, as you've heard me talk about the three major cable news networks, Fox, CNN, and MSNBC, I've told you that I always prefer watching MSNBC and Fox to CNN, always. And the issue is Fox and MSNBC don't pretend. They don't pretend. They are who they are. You know what you're watching. You get what you get, and you know what you're going to get, right? There's no shock when you watch MSNBC. There's no shock when you watch Fox. You know what you're getting. CNN acts like they're above the fray and so special and so neutral and stop. They're not. They're bad, and they're bad at what they do. They're just, CNN, it does have a skill set. And I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Some of you heard me say this before. CNN is an actual good news network. Like a plane crashes, there's a fire, there's a war. They're actually pretty good at that still compared to others. They have the most number of bureaus. They've cut back tremendously, but they're the most number of bureaus, actual reporters, systems available. They're actually very good at that, right? And also something else, making documentaries. They make good ones. The ones on JFK and the ones on LBJ and the ones on Marilyn Monroe. They're good at that, right? That's a skill set they have. Just do that. You're good at that. Just do that. Become the documentary channel, and every couple hours, whatever, do some news. Done and done. An actual channel that people might watch who like, lots of people like documentaries. They could watch the documentaries on whatever, LBJ or whatever, enjoy it, watch some news live when a plane crashes or when a house is on fire or something. Great. They should do that. Instead, they're saying Joe Rogan's 9/11 or whatever they're saying, which is complete garbage and just makes them look bad. But there's the worst part. As they begin to say these things, they're reinforcing a very negative thing in America, which is we are no longer trusting our institutions. And we really should in the best world. The problem is they've given us so many reasons to not trust them. This is not helping, right? We've got to start trusting our institutions, but they have to be trustworthy, right? And they have to gain our trust back. We've lost it. So Bernard says, if you become governor, how do you think that'll impact your family? It'll be tough, right? It's tough. Doing what I do now is tough here or there, right? It will be tough. But I hope that my family is tight and strong enough to handle it. My wife might be more involved, perhaps, maybe, if we actually win the governorship, maybe, or maybe not. She tends to want to be separate from that. And so I keep my wife very separate from that. My kids love just doing this stuff, so they might jump on board. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. It'll be challenging, but not impossible. Challenging doesn't mean impossible. It means challenging. So we can get it done. Thomas says, can't wait till Wednesday. Me neither. Wednesday should be awesome. I love it. Frank says, true libertarians are contemplating the romantic question if Fidel Castro is the baby daddy of Justin Trudeau. I saw that, like, I guess, is it a meme or a story? Is that real? I don't know if it's real, but it seems funny. And I wonder, does it actually matter? I mean, it's interesting. I mean, if it's true, I have no idea if it's true, but assuming for the sake of argument, it's true. Would that matter? It's not like he was raised by Fidel Castro. If he is, I mean, it's like he's raised by him and, subjugate Canada to become Cuban. That's not an issue, right? So be interesting, I guess. I have no idea if it's true. Dan says, sharpen up New York. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate it. Absolutely. Thank you. Matt says, I used to be way more open-minded. I just can't bring myself to partner with someone who doesn't believe in the same principles of liberty and freedom that I have. Listening to others declare for the worst of the Republicrats just turns me off so much anymore. I can't deal with it. I'm just getting older and crazy. Maybe, but I think the issue here isn't necessarily that someone disagrees with your politics. I think it's more, do you respect the person? Do you respect, and do they respect you? In any relationship, particularly romantic, but any relationship, if there's no respect, it's doomed, right? If there is disdain or anger or disrespect, that's going to sting and stay and eventually decay into nothing. It's going to collapse. So yeah, I think you have to respect. My wife was a 20-year Democrat. For years, she was Democrat. Raised in New York, right? Voted in New York City. Her father was a Democrat. So, of course, she followed her parents who were all Democrats. So, for years, when I married her, she was Democrat. And whatever. She didn't agree with my politics. It's okay. I respected her. She respected me. And, of course, because I am a gray Jedi of the highest order, I was able to turn her to our side. So, she's no longer a Democrat. She is not a Republican either. She is now an independent, libertarian, independent now. So yes, I have turned her. As I said, I am a gray Jedi of the highest order. So anyway, that I think respect is the key here, Matt. It really is. Someone has to respect your beliefs and that you're coming from the right place, or it's not going to work. Oh, you are busy tonight. Lonely people mixing one another, breeding, creating an even lonelier generation. You're not even allowing a natural selection to do its part. There is some truth to what you're saying, but I want to cover from a different part. There are a lot of lonely people out there. A lot. And maybe one of you listening is that lonely person. A lot of people are lonely. Even people in relationships are sometimes lonely. Even people around lots of people are lonely. An example I give is I live in New York City, 8 million people, a lot of lonely people. And we live on top of each other, like literally on top of each other. And a lot of lonely people. It's true. Connecting is very hard. And the lockdowns did not help. It did not help. And here's the worst part. When two people are lonely, to your point, and we feel like these are the only two people, they will often get together and sometimes breed and all those things. But they probably shouldn't. What I mean by that, I'm not, no law, I'm saying what I think should happen. If you're someone who is simply grabbing someone because they're in front of you, because you're lonely, and people do that all the time, that is a very common thing, you've just increased the odds that you're not a good match and things are going to go poorly. Doesn't mean you won't. It happens. People see each other, they fall, and they're together for 50 years. It totally happens. So you will always find connections. What I'm saying is, if you're taking the people who are just in front of you because they're in front of you, and lonely people often do that. It's a common thing. Humans do that. It's what we do. You're increasing the odds that it's not a good match and it's not going to work. So having children with that person, oh my God, are you going to regret that? You won't regret the kids. You'll love your kids. You'll regret the relationship. That you'll regret. You'll love the kids. We love our kids. The relationship we're going to hate. It's a valid point. And then you go to a lonelier generation. Yeah, because then we get divorced and we go to a horrible family court, which I fight against in New York State, like no tomorrow. And the family court system is totally anti-family. It is blatantly anti-family. So it goes out of its way to devastate each other, crush the families, bankrupt the families, and make them hate each other. So now what do the kids learn? The kids learn, oh, relationships between my mother and father, terrible, don't work, bad, angry. They don't like them. They hate them. They see nothing but pain. We wonder, why can't they get together? Because we are the example. The state doesn't help. It makes things worse. And then we're the example. So that kid grows up without being able to connect very well with people either. Lonelier. You're right. Lonelier. Now, the part about natural selection, it's not natural selection. It isn't. It's the environment that we live in. It's our culture that is crushing us. People aren't lonely because they're bad people. I mean, I'm sure there are some, but the average person isn't lonely because they're bad people. They're lonely because the system is set up for them to be lonely. We should change that. So yes. So, all right. Liberty says, you mentioning Valentine's Day, let my guy know it was. So, all right, see? So I'm not the only one who screwed up. See? But we're fixing it. I'm fixing mine. You got to fix his too. There we go. Yes. So Kim says, to mask or not to mask? In Manhattan, they are wearing double masks outside. Toddlers in strollers outside with masks. My heart is breaking. Yes. This to me is horrible. What do I mean by that? We've made it to where people now feel like double masking is how you should live your life. This goes back to what you talking about, the scientific libertarians talking about. That wasn't people deciding that. That wasn't, we said, you know what we should all do? Wear 3 masks and mask our kids. We didn't think that. We didn't. That was government, and that was CNN, and that was the media saying, do it or you're a bad parent. Do it or you're a bad person. Do it or you're evil when you're killing people. And we as people don't want to be responsible for that. We don't want to be bad parents. We don't want to kill people. Oh my God, the government and the media tell me if I don't double mask, I'm a bad person. I better double mask. The people aren't bad people who are masking. They've just been listening to the wrong stuff. They've been influenced by the wrong stuff. Now, are there people who should double mask? Of course, those people exist, but not the amount you're seeing, I'm sure. There are some people who probably are heavily immune compromised, but still want their lives. Those people I'm sure exist. And maybe 1 out of, 500 that you saw fit that category. 499 did not, right? And if you only saw one guy or one gal double masked, you'd be like, wow, that guy's probably on chemo. And he's scared. And if I was on chemo, I'd be scared. I might wear 3 masks. I'd be scared. I'd want to wear all the masks. I might stay inside because I'd be scared, right? I got on chemo. My immune system's shot. But those people, those toddlers in strollers, they're not on chemo. I'm with you. So this is what happens when you tell people for 2 years to act a certain way. It changes how they think. It does. So Jimmy says, I heard a rumor you may be on a national TV network show on Wednesday. If this is true, can I promote it? Sure. Go ahead. I love that. 100%. Yes, absolutely. So, all right. Christine says, do you know the name of the attorney that headed a freedom rally in New York today? She was amazing. I saw it on OAN. Is that Lindsay? Is that her Lindsay, Lindsay? I think that's right. I think that's correct. Yes. So Pete says, last night, Dr. Dre was the most believable doctor we've seen on national TV in 2 years. Well, look, Dr. Dre at least is not lying to you. He's telling you how he actually feels, and he's good at what he does. So yeah, it's true. Dr. Dre, not too bad. I would agree with that, Pete. I think that is a very good read of the situation. You're correct. And I think people today probably trust him more than some of the doctors. If he told them what to do, you might listen to him even more. Absolutely. Shelly says, I found out that it was Valentine's Day when a basket full of kids in the grocery store wished me happy Valentine's Day. Oh, Shelly, that's very sweet. I love that. Look at that. I like that. Good. All right. Let's see. Craig says the Empress also made an interagency task force because that'll work. That's what you need. Interagency task forces. Those always work. In fact, if I can remember how many times, hold on. How times does that work? Where's my phone? I need to get my phone. Use my calculator. All the times the interagency task force have worked. Carry to 3. And then also add 1999 and never. Not once. Never. They don't work. That's just stuff we just do. Never works ever. All it does is make more people have to have more titles and get more overtime. It does. I'm sorry. If your goal is to make overtime, which if you're on one of those agencies, good for you. Not good for taxpayers, but good for you if you're one of those people who's getting overtime, then it makes good overtime. That's true. But that's about it. And the issue is to club truckers who may be getting any ideas about freedom. All right, you American truckers, don't copy them Canadians. You don't get your freedom. You're an American. No freedom for you. No freedom for you. Exactly. Frank says, as New York State governor, will Larry Sharpe introduce new monoclonal antibody treatments for COVID-19 stricken citizens? Of course not, because that's not the governor's job. What the governor's job to do is to let people do what they would like with their health, to include monoclonal antibody treatments. But will I introduce? Of course not. I would not be running for the doctor-in-chief, and neither should any governor be deciding whether you do that or not. So I would never do that. Would I be letting people do what they want, including that? Yes, that's what I would do. No governor should be deciding that at all. That's not a governor's job. It's not in the state constitution. It's not in the oath. It is just stuff that governors make up so they can control you. Not my job. Should not be my job. It's nobody's job but yours, Frank. That's your job, for you to pick what you want to do with your life. That's your job. So to answer your question, no. All right. Sean says, a communist guy I know keeps trolling me with how libertarianism is deep-seated with racism and white supremacy. No matter what I say is rebuttal. When do you stop defending libertarianism? You can stop already. He doesn't want to hear you. You can stop. It's fine. Let it go. Sometimes people aren't going to hear you. What you want to do in general, it's a good general rule. It's not 100%. You know your friend better than I do. General rule. Give him some type of solution that is libertarian-like, that is libertarian-leaning, that you think he might hear, right? Whatever that is, right? Way of dealing with any problem he has. If he has a problem with racism, give him a way of dealing with racism. If it's a problem with business, give him a way of dealing with business. Whatever the thing is, give him one. He will come back at you with this. When he does go, okay, maybe you have a better idea. He will not. He'll come back at you with this. You go, I got it, man. No worries. All good. Let it go. Let it go. At one point, if he brings it up again, bring up your idea again. He'll come back with this. Repeat it. He'll come back with this. Got it. Walk away. All done. One of two things will happen. He's never going to come around. He's decided that everything's racism, which some people have decided already, and I'm not going to change that. Or he'll go, that idea you had, tell me again. Now you're winning. So give him some kind of idea. Don't fight him ideologically. It's not going to work. Fighting someone with that in an ideological way is just not going to work. Give him an idea that solves a problem that he talks about. Then let it land. It will stay or it won't. Don't keep fighting. Does make sense. If he wants to, have him talk to the people like me. Reach out here. Might work. So yes. So David says, I'm not satisfied, but I was married to the army. I know many people who have felt that way. And the funny thing about any of those types of organizations, like the Army, Marine Corps, whatever, is very often they're very good at giving you purpose. And there actually can be a love. And it will sound weird, but David gets it. And some people who've been in the military for a while also get it. There is a sense of love in some of these organizations. Why? Remember what I told you? Love isn't how you feel about it. Love is how you feel about yourself when you're with it. And sometimes organizations like the Army, the Marine Corps, Navy, maybe Air Force, doubt it. Maybe Air Force, teasing you Air Force guys, just teasing you. You actually feel like you're part of the team. You feel like you matter. You feel valued. Depends on where you are, obviously. In some units, you feel like you're useless cog in a wheel and piece of garbage. But there's many units where you don't feel that way, where you feel like you're really part and important. So I get it, David. I completely do. Yes, I get it. Absolutely. So, all right, see here. Avi says, gotta love Hoku. She thinks masking saves lives, and yet every photo op, she's maskless. Apparently, only the peasants she rules can get COVID. It's science. Well, it is. It's political science. Correct. It is science, though. You're not wrong, Avi. It's just political science, right? She's better than us. So clearly, COVID can't kill her because she's superior to us. Us peasants, we get killed by COVID, and we're too dumb to know any better. So she has to give us the rules on how to live our life. I think that's pretty much how she thinks. Pretty much. Yes. I love that. Pete says, think about it. Larry has been right about virtually everything every single time. Pete, thank you, my friend. I appreciate that. I need more people to believe that. Yes, please. Yes. I love that. Thomas says, I just want to be loved. Is that so wrong? I love that. And it not only is it not wrong, as I'm teasing you, obviously, but it's normal. It's human. So yes, it's human. Joe says, just getting on, I'll be talking about 40-somethings being single. Why are you talking about me when I'm not here? We were talking directly about you, Joe. If you go back, you watch, the first thing I said was, let's talk about Joe. It's the first thing I said. I'm teasing, obviously. No, we are talking about people being happy. And you can be single and happy, or you can be married and happy. You can be single and unhappy. You can be married and unhappy. The fact that you're single or married doesn't mean you're happy or not. The question is, are you where you want to be right now? Are you good with where you are right now, wherever that is? There are people who are not married and are happy as can be. And like, I don't want to be married, not what I want to be. And people like, my God, I want to be married and I'm not, and they're unhappy. So that was the point. It was, as always, do you. That's what it is. Do you. Andrea says, I love my cats, and most of the time my husband too. Marriage is bliss. I like that. Look, if you got most of the time, I'm good. That's I'll take it. Absolutely. Frank says, will Governor Sharpe allow fracking in New York? of course, I think the issue should be local, right? For those of you who think fracking is a good idea, I have some bad news for you. Most of the local counties in New York State that can frack actually don't want fracking, and it should be a local issue. The idea of a national or statewide mandate is silly. It's wrong. This should be a local issue dealt with local people. So even if I would allow fracking in New York, which I would not stop fracking in New York, I still think probably most of the local counties would still vote no. But if a county votes yes, then I have two answers when it comes to fracking. Two caveats when it comes to fracking. Number one, a more obvious one. The second one, not so obvious. The most obvious one. Everyone whose property could be affected, has to say yes. Done. If damage is done, right, then insurance has to pay. You have to have insurance to pay for damage done. You can't buy insurance, you can't frack. Can you buy the insurance? You can frack. Number two, you must be completely transparent in what you're putting in the fracking water. Fracking companies in the past, some to this day, but many in the past have been very bad on that. What they've done is they've said, oh, it's proprietary. I can't tell you what's going in the groundwater. You can't tell me what's going into the ground in my state. You can't frack. So one, make sure everyone is covered. Two, 100% transparency on what you're putting in the ground. You don't tell me, you don't get the frack. You tell the people, here's everything. Now, if you don't do that, that's fraud. That's a crime. So whatever you put in the ground, you tell people, we're putting this in the ground. And they vote. We want it, we don't want it. Got to have insurance. Do those things, you can frack. But it's got to be local. That should not be a state issue. It goes back to my last thing. This is not a governor's job. Sorry. This should not be, sadly it is. It should not be a governor's job. It's your property. Make it happen. If you can make money on your property and you're okay with it, not hurting anybody else, there's insurance to cover it, do what you got to do. I'm okay with it. Yes. So school bus drivers have children around. I agree. It's a perfect example of that, right? They get to see the kids, feel the kid energy. I love that, right? I love that. Yes, absolutely. So Joe says happily single. There we go. It's all good. Yes. So let's see here. Conservatives are talking about the halftime show. Oh, I like that. Here we go. Look at that. Everyone's talking about it. I love it. Yes, absolutely. Tom says, did I see Neil Young is back on Spotify? Is that true? I did not hear that. I've been doing so much phone work these last couple of days. I haven't been on enough. I may have to check it out. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I don't know, to tell you the truth. And of course, guys, please head on over if you can to my sponsors the show, makes sure that we can keep going. It's libertarianism.com. See the link? It's right there. Click on that link, right? It's in the show description. Click on the link, heading over there. Take a couple classes. They're cool. They're nice about happiness. What we're talking about now. Loneliness, happiness, volunteerism, all those things, what libertarianism is about. And there's some cool swag. If you like swag, pick up some swag over there. Shirts, mugs, all the cool stuff. You don't have to buy it. You take the quizzes, you get the credits, you get the swag for free. You don't want to take the quizzes? Buy it with credit card. Whatever you want, right? You do either one of those. But if you've already taken any of them, then do me a favor. Share these links with others and let them see it too. This is a great way. Your friend you were talking about, when do you stop with libertarianism? Send them this. Send them this. Say, hey, you know what? You think libertarianism is about racism and such? Go literally to libertarianism.com. Go there. The .com of libertarianism. Go there, and you still tell me if it's about white supremacism or white supremacy or it's about racism. Do that. That's a good idea for you. I hope that was kind of clear. So good. Yes. All right. Let's see here. David says, Larry, remember when CNN first came out in the 1980s and everyone thought it wouldn't make money because news divisions lost money back then? Yes, I remember. Well, one of the reasons why they did this, and some of you may not know this, have you ever noticed that every radio station, the vast majority, will have news on the hour, even though they're not a news station. So like it'll be a rock station or R&B station, and then on the hour they'll have some news. You have 5 minutes of the weather, or 5 minutes of traffic, or 5 minutes of some news. Sometimes they'll even just bring some news from someplace else. Why? Because for you to be on public airways, you had to be able to show some value to the community. That was the rules. I think it still might be officially. So what radio stations would do is they're playing music all day. So what's the social value? They would say, well, we give news. So they would put 5 minutes or 3 minutes of news on every hour and say, see, we're providing value to the community. So we get to keep the airwaves. That's how TV worked too. You use the TV airwaves, but you had to provide some value. So it was news. So news was made just to keep the TV station. It wasn't meant to make any money. That's why they lost money. You made your money on the sponsors of the other things. That's how that worked. You go to cable, you could do whatever you want. There's no requirement. It's not, it's private lines. It's not the airwaves. So you don't have to do it. So you just make money off sponsorship or cable subscriptions. So the entire model changed. So they didn't know any better, David. They didn't know any better. That was their issue. So yes. All right. Elaine says, I don't watch the mainstream media anymore. They've lied to us too much. See, I get it. I'm not mad at you, Elaine. I get it. I just wish it wasn't true. And the problem is a lot of people are thinking just like you. You see it in the numbers. You see the numbers going down. Most of these stations don't even get 1 million viewers in a night. I mean, that's really small considering we have what, 100 million households in America, give or take. Is that about right? We have about 100 million households in America, maybe a bit more. And you're getting 1 million people watching you, right? You're right. It's a problem. And I wish they hadn't, but I think you're not alone. Many of them are. Yes. So, all right. Let's see here. Michael says, can also make a documentary on Soledad O'Brien about what it means to be Black in America. Another one on what it means to be Hispanic in America. They could do that. That's true. She gets to do a bunch of stuff. Absolutely, she does. I love that. Pete says, but Larry, what's going on Wednesday? Cool stuff is going on Wednesday. You'll find out soon. There's some cool stuff going. Joe knows, though. It's a Sharpe in New York. Yes, it is. JGJ says, since Valentine's Day, any advice for young men who feel isolated politically and you believe getting in the way of finding a significant other? Yes. Yes. I think how you can get almost anyone to talk to you when it comes to politics, that is. Since you asked, I'm going to give you young men a little bit of advice on how to find a woman. Serious advice, not even joking. Try to find, not Tinder. I mean, you can do Tinder if you want to, but I'm not talking about Tinder or any web app like that at all. I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking about some old school stuff that I think still works. Find any hobby group that you are interested in. It does not matter what hobby group it is. Preferably something that you've thought about doing and never did. I'm going to make this up for the sake of argument. You decide you've always wanted to, I don't know, you've always wanted to learn Spanish. I don't know if that's true. Whatever, I made that up, right? You've always wanted, and you never did. So can you find a group of people who meet to talk about Spanish, a Spanish language club? You've always wanted to learn how to act. So you're going to go to an acting thing. You've always learned whatever. You always want to do something, right? You've always wanted to go to an amusement park, whatever. So think about groups of people who want to do that thing and then go there. And when you go there, make sure whatever you pick has a lot of the opposite sex there. So assuming that you're a heterosexual male in this case, I'm assuming that you're heterosexual because you said men. So I'm assuming that. So if you're a heterosexual male, try to find a place where there'll be many heterosexual female, not only, but a good chunk of them at least. You want the odds in your favor. So you want a place where there are more of the people you're looking for than the gender that you're not looking for, right? So you want that. And then go there and ask a lot of questions. I'm very serious. Don't try to impress. Ask questions and be interested. Grossly simple. So you decide you want to find out people who want to learn Spanish. I made that up. Find a place where more women than men show up to this place. Go there, meet people, and ask questions. Don't talk about yourself at all. Just say, why'd you decide to come here? How long you been studying Spanish? Really? Why? How are you going to use Spanish? Blah, 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 blah. Ask questions. Let them talk. The more they're talking, the more you're winning. If they like you and they connect with you as you're talking to them, excellent. Do not ask them out. Don't ask them out. Instead, ask if they'll be back next time. And then try to see them again the next time. Connect them on social media when you get home. And then when you see them the next time there, and they still want to talk to you, and there's still a connection, now you're starting a relationship. It might just be friendly, which is still a good friend. If you get a good friend, it's nice, but it might be romantic. But if it's only friendly, and she likes you as a friend, and she thinks you're special, and you didn't try to hit on her, then you know what? Maybe she'll introduce you to some other girls that she might know who might be more interested in you. Or maybe she's the one, which is still good. After the second time talking to her, then ask her out. That's the smart move. Do that. Do that again and again and again. Rinse, repeat. You will do two things. Open up your social circle. You'll show women that you're not just a handsome man. You also care about them. They're valued. Remember, if they feel valued, they feel loved, right? So they're valued. You'll meet some people. You'll make some friends and maybe have some romance too. Now you might go, but Larry, I'm lonely. So I want to go out and I want to, hit the bed right away. No worries. You can do that. There's tons of places. That's what Tinder's for and places. That's great. Do that, please. Grindr, whatever's your thing. Please go. I'm saying if you're going to meet people not in a romantic world to create long relationships, this is a very good tactic. Hope that will help. So now you might say, well, wait a minute, Larry, but I'm a libertarian. So what? I'm not saying talk about yourself. That's my point. Don't start bringing up libertarian ideals. You meet somebody in a Spanish class. Shut up with your libertarian stuff. Talk about Spanish and let her talk. When she's done talking, if she likes you, here's the most important piece. It goes back to the first piece we talked about earlier. She will believe that your intentions are good, because I hope they are, and you've shown interest in her. She will respect you. She will feel that you're respecting her. So when you say views that she may not understand or may not like or may disagree with, she won't attack you. She'll ask you. And if you then can tell her why you feel this way, what you're trying to achieve, and it sounds good, she'll be like, oh, okay, this guy is not a jerk. He's wrong because my views are clearly right, but he's still a good guy. He's just lost. I'll turn him. And she will think she will turn you. She won't. You will turn her. That's fine. Let her think what she wants. You both go back and forth. You'll be together for years, and she'll become a libertarian. It's how it works. Hope that was helpful. So, all right. Let's see here. He continues, seems like those female persuasions showing lean to the left and are military against anybody who disagrees. Again, as a general rule, if you come at them that way, yes. Don't come at them that way. Don't walk up to someone and say, hey, how you doing? You support Larry Sharpe for governor? If you don't, you're dumb. I mean, that's an accurate statement, but don't say that, right? Just talk about them. Then we move on. So yes. Oh, good. All right. David says, Chairman Mao had his little red book. Thomas Sowell has lots of quotes. Can we create a little gold book of quotes of libertarians? I like that little gold book. Team, you hear me? You hear him? Do that. Yes. I love that. Missy says, sometimes you have to agree to disagree on politics within families and pick your battles carefully. Yes, I often do, right? Remember, most of my friends here in New York City are Democrats. Some of my friends didn't vote for me in 2018. I know it sounds bad, but some didn't because they're hardcore and they're like, nope, Cuomo all the way. Some did that. That's absolutely true. So, but it's still my friends. So what I've learned is I never start politics ever. Never. I always wait for them to come at me, and they always do. But I never started. You're never going to hear me go, so how about Hoku? Never. I never start. They always come at me, and then we have conversations. And when they get better, I go, okay. And I just end it, right? I just go, okay, and end it. But I focus heavily on solutions always. Yes. Frank says, I too was a Kennedy Democrat. The Democratic Party has gone off the deep end to the left. If you look at Kennedy and his positions, both parties have before. I mean, is the Republican Party anything like Reagan? Is there a core of Reagan and Republican Party? I think there's a core of it somewhere, but it's, I don't know. You think the Democratic Party is like Kennedy? LBJ? Maybe there's a core of it in there, but that's about it. Maybe a core. There's nothing else there. I think you're right, Frank. I agree. They're very different parties. And this is the part I want to bring up here. Why is libertarianism so special? Right? Oh, Larry, you just biased. Hell yeah, I'm biased. Absolutely. You know I'm biased. I'm like MSNBC and Fox. I'm just libertarian version. I'm totally biased. I don't care. And you know it, or you wouldn't be watching. I am biased. I don't get mad at people. I'm just biased. So yes, let me tell you why it matters so much. Because the Democratic Party and Republican Party right now aren't actually political parties. They're tribes. They haven't been political parties for years, but now it's just more open. The Republican Party was more honest. If you remember last time, they didn't have any policies. They didn't have a platform. They were like, what's our policy? Trump. Done. And now some of you might be mad at that if you don't like Trump. I get it. Trump is, as I say all the time, Trump is a big personality, very easy to love, very easy to hate. I get that. So you might be unhappy about that. Republicans weren't. They were like, good, he's our warlord, let's go, right? Biden was the same, but the Democrats pretended that their platform actually mattered. It didn't. They were the I'm not Trump party. That was their party. And Democrats weren't happy. They were not unhappy. They were good with that. Like, yeah, he's the not Trump guy. What's his name again? Biden? I don't remember. What's his name? He's not Trump though, right? Nope, not Trump. Good. So literally Democrats became the not Trump party. That was their platform. That was it. And that's how it worked. But it's been that way for a while. And again, Frank, obviously you're old enough. You were a Kennedy Democrat. You're old enough to remember. There's a big difference between a Carter Democrat, a Clinton Democrat, and an Obama Democrat. Very different. And even a Biden Democrat now, right? Big difference between a Reagan Republican, a Bush Republican, and a Trump Republican. Very different. They're not the same Republicans. What happens? They change because the warlord changes. Warlord changes, that person's not the party. Libertarians actually have principles. As I say all the time, I can call myself king of libertarians if I want to. I can just call myself that. I'll be laughed off the stage, but I could say it and they'll go, get out of here, Larry. You're the king of libertarians. Hit the road. It's not going to happen, right? So why? Because we actually have principles. So my view on those principles isn't by default infallible like the Pope. That's not how it works. I get to have my views, and so does every other person in the party, and that's how we fight all the time. However, it does make us more important. We're not a party of rules or a party of men or party of law. We're a party of principle. It does matter. So yes, that's why we're special. So whether we have Gary Johnson top of our ticket, Harry Brown top of our ticket, Ron Paul top, whoever we have at the top of our ticket, our core is the same. Now, each of those people saw libertarianism differently. They all did. And they all had their own spin on libertarianism. Of course they did. Probably Brown was the purist. Maybe. That's a tough call. But each was different in how they saw libertarianism. But everyone in the Libertarian Party will go, oh, no, Ron Paul. Oh, no, Gary. Oh, no, Harry Brown. They'll change who they think is the right guy or gal. They would change, of course, because we don't go, oh, it's that. It's about principle. Hope that was clear. I went a bit long, I know. So, yes. So, all right. Gene says, respect is vital. When I was married to my ex-husband, I lacked nothing except love and respect. Guess that's why we're divorced. Yes, I'm married to someone who loves and respects now. Yes, thank you. Look, I want to be clear. We often, and Gene, thank you for bringing this up. We always think that money is the answer to make us happy. It's not black and white like that. It just isn't, right? Money is important, of course. But to be happy, it really is about, we talk about, Gene, it's love and respect. Now, if you don't have any money, then that's going to affect your love and respect, right? So you want to have at least enough money to where you can survive well and do some, you don't have to be filthy rich, right? Once you have a certain amount of money, and depending on where you live, that amount will change, obviously, and what you like and what kind of lifestyle you enjoy, that money will, and the amount will change. But once you have enough money, whatever that is, you need love and respect. You have that, you're happy. You don't have that, doesn't matter how much money you have. You're not going to be happy. Now, the advantage of money is money allows you to not worry about that aspect of your relationship. So you can focus more on the love and respect if you have enough money. So that is an advantage, but doesn't mean you'll do it. Some people just don't have love and respect. Doesn't matter how much money they have. You see it all the time. Just happen. Second thing money does, money gives you more options. I have more choices now. Can I take my wife someplace? Can we go do something? Can we get people to help out, right? If our kids are a problem, can we hire someone to help with our kids? If our house is a problem, can we hire someone to help with our house or whatever? So having money allows you to have more options, but does not guarantee happiness. I love your point. It's a very valid point, Gene. Look, I'm not against money. I hope we all have lots of money. It isn't enough, right? It isn't enough. So yes. Missy says, my Valentine's, my dog. I give up on dating. Don't give up yet. Just give up today. Today's fine. Not today, but maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. So I'm just saying, don't give up yet. Maybe it's not right for you today, and that's fine. Maybe it's not where you're going to be. Maybe tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. Who knows? We do change over time, and you find some people who go the opposite way, very much active romantically for years, and then go, you know what? No. Done. Like, I don't want to do that anymore. And you find people who happiness is actually not dating very much at all anymore, if at all. That does happen too. And the reverse, people who hardly ever date and then are like, that's it, I'm going nuts. I'm dating everybody and everything. That happens too. So all I'm saying, Missy, is please don't pigeonhole yourself and say, I give up. For now. Maybe now wasn't the right time. That's all I'm saying. So, yes. All right. Ed says, what do you think about the black pill theory? The reason people who consume the black pill, they end up being worrying about miserable and lonely. It's basically they listen to depressing content like Incel TV on YouTube. There is an advantage, and it's not a good advantage, and it doesn't outweigh all the disadvantages. But there is an advantage to being depressed like that and being black pilled. And what that basically means is you have no hope. There is an advantage to no hope, and people take it. One, tough to be disappointed when you have no hope. Tough to have a crash when you never come up to crash in the first place. So that's the advantage. And also something else. Most people who are black-pilled say, the system's broken, I have no chance. So it's not my fault. It's not my fault. The world is terrible. It's not my fault. Everything's against us. It's not my fault. The powerful people are destroying us. Black pill does have an advantage that people sometimes take. In my view, the advantage is nowhere near outweighing the disadvantages, which are horrible feeling, loneliness, often, almost always self-harm in some way, self-harm. So I understand why people do the black pill. I get it. It does make you feel like the rest of the world's, the problem. It does, you don't have to worry about crashing or getting like that. I get that. It's a short-term gain for long-term pain. But I think that's why. You asked why? I think that's why. So yes. All right. Let's see here. Brian says, did you see where Rogan told CNN that instead of trying to silence him, they should consider changing their business model to increase their viewer numbers? This is a piece that I want to bring up. Thank you for this, Brian. What CNN should be doing, and they're not, obviously, what all the mainstream media should be doing. And I think MSNBC and Fox are doing it better. They're not doing it well, but they're doing it better than CNN. Instead of trying to cancel everybody and use power to attack and crush, they should be asking themselves. You hear them say it. We have a problem here. People are listening to Joe Rogan, not us. I mean, we spend our time looking at stuff with fact checkers and blah, 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 and they're listening to Joe Rogan, not us. Instead of being mad at Joe Rogan or trying to cancel Joe Rogan or calling people stupid, what you should be saying is, what the hell are we doing wrong? In theory, now, of course, I mean theory, we should, and again, I'm saying the word should, we should trust our institutions far more than Joe Rogan, right? We should be like, oh, it's the news, it's CNN. Of course they're right. Of course, whatever some podcaster says is wrong. That's what we should be thinking. We don't. Instead of being mad, the CNN should be going, what the hell have we done wrong? How have we screwed up so much that a podcaster is not only whipping our ass in the ratings, but on top of it, they believe him more than us? What are we doing wrong? We got to fix some stuff. That's what they should be doing. And this is kind of what Joe Rogan is saying. Change your business model. That's probably the right answer for CNN, changing the business model. But in reality, they should be thinking, What have they done to make people distrust them so much? That's a more important issue, right? That's a more important issue. Maybe it's time for a rebrand. I don't even know. But yes, I do think he's totally right. Absolutely. So, and then Michael says, hence father's rights. Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. All right. Bernard says, most of my family tend to be liberal, but they're beginning to understand my point of view. See, there we go. There is hope. Slowly but surely. Absolutely. Missy says, loneliness is as pervasive as cancer. Yes. It's just not all that easy to break free from. 100%. Especially when you're an introvert like me. My dog is how I deal with loneliness. I agree completely. And the worst part is loneliness is pervasive, and self-harm is sadly contagious. So yes, that too. You're totally correct. Look, one of the reasons why people like podcasts like this, they like shows like this, is because they connect with others, and they connect with me, and they connect with people here in the chat, and people like to connect. It's just human. We like to connect, right? So I think that's one of the reasons. And I think the good thing about this is we get to connect. The bad thing about it is this shouldn't be the only way we connect. This should be one of other ways that we connect. And I hope it is. So thank you for that. All righty. Let's see. Oh, you did that one already. Shelly says, I wore my gaiter like I always in cold weather. Of course, it was my choice to wear it. Oh, I don't think that was for me. Sorry, I think that was for me. Yes. So, all right. Let's see here. Paula says the Super Bowl looked kind of maskless. I think she means maskless. Even better for 2.0 went up their masks. I've only for a PR stunt. Yes, this is right. Let me try to be good. I don't need to be too crazy here. All right. It is obvious that it was a Super Bowl. Almost everybody was mask off, right? I mean, did you see many people with masks on? Masks are off all over the place. They're yelling and screaming and close and whatever, and the masks are off, right? So, mask the kids in school? Paula, yeah, I don't get it at all. I still see people masking on airlines. People masking on trains. Why? Most of this country already had it or has it, and that's it. And most of the country's vaxxed anyway. I don't know what the problem is. I'm with you. Absolutely. So, all right. Joe says your calculator actually said never. It did. It popped up never. Right. I put the question in Google and it laughed. Is what it did. It just laughed. So that was it. Yes. It just laughed. Yes. 100%. Yes. Exactly right. Byron says that you carried it too. I did carry it too. That's how I got the never. I had to carry it too. Absolutely. Yes. 100%. Yes. What's this? What generation are you, Larry? I'm a Gen Xer. I am an older Gen Xer. I was born in 68. Gen X began, I think, in 65. I think Gen X began in 65. I think that's right. 66, 65, in that area. I forgot what it's in that area. I'm born in 68. So I'm an older Gen Xer. Not a boomer. Older Gen Xer. Yes. The younger Gen Xers are now like early 40s, late 40s. Right? Is that right? Yeah. It's boomer, Gen Xer, millennial, Gen Z, or Zoomer. Yeah. My kids are Zoomers, both of them. All right, where can I go here? All right. Didn't carry it. Right. Awesome work, Larry. Thank you. I'm doing my best. 100%. Well, yes. Ryan says, in a Sharpe in New York, Amazon gladly fills potholes. Actually, not Amazon. One minor change on that one, Ryan. Not Amazon. Amazon's not going to fix it. What's going to, with the groups that will fix it will be fast food delivery places like Pizza Hut and McDonald's and Grubhub and those places. Those will be the ones. Seamless, whatever. All those people, they will be the ones who fix the potholes. Yes, absolutely. So, all right. Thomas says, I love being in the Army. I love being in the Marine Corps. Here's how I remember how much I loved it. When I would go away on leave, or for you non-military people, go on vacation, I would want to come back. And some of you who've been in the military, you know what I mean. You go off on leave, and you're ready to go back. Like, you're like, no, it's been enough time I here with you civilian people. I'm going back to where I'm supposed to be. So yeah, I do think that's true. I felt the same thing, wanting to go back because I loved it. Want to go back? Absolutely, yes. So, all right. Brian says the U.S. should call the sanctions they use and are threatening to use what they really are: siege warfare against Ukraine. I agree. Against Russia. You're correct. Yeah. Joseph, it is science, political science. How am I today years old just hearing this? Come on, that was good. It was good. That's true. Yes. All right. Okay. Let me grab a couple more of these. Joseph continues. I don't know why anyone wants to get in the government involved in an otherwise good relationship. Mm-hmm. That's what marriage kind of is. Yes, absolutely. So, all right. Let's see here. If I keep going. Ryan says, is fracking worse than lithium ion battery dumps? It's a good question. It's a good question. My point is, as governor, I don't have to know that. As long as the issue is local people making decisions, being fully covered by insurance and transparency, it is what it is. Some people will still not want fracking on their land, and I'm okay with that. If you don't want it, you don't want it. It's your land. Don't do it. If you think it's the right answer, I'm okay with it. As long as those three things exist, I'm okay with it. Yes. So, all right. Shelley says that fault line that runs from Herkimer to Montauk might not be a great place for fracking, but if people want it, they should be able to frack. Most of the frackable areas in New York State are along the southern tier, right? Allegheny County, I think, is one. I think Allegheny is frackable. Cattaraugus is frackable. Yeah, so it's that area is frackable, if I'm not mistaken. It's that area. So yes. So all right. Paula says, Larry, what is it like to always be right about the Cuomos? Even Politico says he'll be coming after his enemies. You know, this is the part that's funny. When I was running last time, I said a couple things about Cuomo, and afterwards often. I didn't just go, he's corrupt. Everyone was saying that he's corrupt or whatever. I was actually saying he was a bad person. Right? I try my best. You see me do it. To give people benefit of doubt, to try to say positive things when I can. But with him, I hardly ever did. Because he just didn't deserve it. He was a bad person. And I said that. And I was right. I never forget this. As I covered the state last time, I met many politicians, many sitting officials. I'd sit with them. We'd talk about stuff. Many of them hoped that I was going to win. Right? All good. But one guy, he was a Democrat. He said to me, Larry, Cuomo's what happens when the henchman becomes the boss. And I was like, oh, wow. And I heard that relatively early on in the campaign. So I used that analogy with other people who were, who were in the state assembly or in the Senate or or mayors who knew him. And I would say, I heard that Cuomo is kind of like when a henchman becomes the boss. Nobody said no. They either were like, yeah, that's him, or I could see that. Nobody was like, no, him? No, he's the sweetest guy. No one said that. Everyone who knew him either said, or agreed. So I knew he was a bad guy from what everyone told me. All of those people couldn't be wrong, particularly when about half of those people were Democrats. And I was libertarian. So they shouldn't be coming clean to me. They should be lying and saying, oh, he's the greatest guy in the world and so generous and loving. Nobody said that. Nobody said that. So yeah, I kind of knew he was a bad guy. Absolutely. So, all right. Joe says, do we have to use that link or can we just use libertarianism.com? You can just go libertarianism.com. If you use the link, that lets them know that it came from this show. That's why the link is there. But just go. If they see a rise in people going, it's still good, right? I like it anyway. But the link is a direct connection, lets them know that it's because of the show. That's why I ask you to use the link. It makes them happy. They know the show is working. People are checking it. People are going. People are sharing. That's why. But whatever works. Yes. So Craig says, what do you feel is the number one issue for upstate Republicans for this upcoming election? Will they vote third party? It's what I said, quality of life. Quality of life isn't just individual personally being happy. It's with relationships. It's also about, do I have a job that I feel good in if I want a job? If I don't have a job, do I feel comfortable in the role that I've taken at home, right? If I've taken a caregiver role, or if I've taken a child, rearing role, am I satisfied with that position? Can I do well in that position in my state? If I'm retired, can you live well retired if you don't want to work, right? Whatever is the thing for you. It also means, are you able to do the things you want to do? Are you able to go hunt if you like hunting? Are you able to shop when you want to go shopping? And the things that you want to do, are you able to go out to eat when you want to go out to eat? Do the things that you enjoy. So I think all of those are the issues they're worried about. So I would say quality of life is critical. Included in quality of life is, of course, how much spending cash do you have and how safe do you feel, right? How safe do you feel? Can you keep your family together? Now, look, if you don't care about your family, and everyone cares about family, some people don't like their family. If you don't like your family, can you easily pack up and move, right? Which is great, because if you don't like your family, you're going to pack up and leave. I get it. But if you care about your family and love your family, can you take time to be with your family? Does it work? Can your family stay here? Can your younger members of your family, can they rent a home here? Can they go to school here? Can they begin their career here? Can your older members of your family, can they, hold down good jobs here? Can they start businesses here? Can they retire here? If the answer to those are no, we're in trouble. So I think it's quality of life. It's the number one issue, which it's heavily, not all, but heavily based on economics, but not all. So hope that was clear. So Shelley says, married, kids, widowed, now happily single, finding new adventures every day that I wouldn't have been possible years ago. It's just different dots in the same line. Life is good. Shelley, you have literally made my point. Thank you so much. What a perfect post. Thank you. Exactly my point. There were different times in your life that you value different things more than other things in your life. And we're all that way. We decide exactly what's important to us at any given time. I'm sure there was a time when your kids were number one and that was it. It was all about them. There's a time when it wasn't all about them. And there were times when it was all about your marriage, and times when it wasn't so much about your marriage. I'm sure you went back and forth, and hopefully you found the right balance. The odds are you made mistakes along the way, because we all did. So you probably made some mistakes and wrong priorities here or there, because people do. But hopefully most of the time you were on board with the right priorities at the right time, and you're pretty happy. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. Yes. So, all right. Torrance says, it's like you're talking right to me, Larry. Hashtag forever single. Look, you guys may wonder what I do for my day job when I work. It's consulting and training and coaching on emotional communication and leadership and branding, and it's what I do. It's my day job. I spend a lot of time giving people advice. It's kind of my thing. So yes, absolutely. Paula says, Larry, is there anything you can do as governor of New York to help ease the pain of inflation for New York families, or is it entirely in the hands of the Fed? It's a great question. It is heavily national, but not only national. The biggest reason right now, at this moment, while we're feeling inflation, actually isn't the Fed. The Fed is absolutely part of it. 100% is part of it. But the biggest chunk is actually labor shortages, lockdowns, labor shortages, supply chain issues. That's the bigger issue right now, is that, plus people spending, right? People spending, running out of the money they're spending, and then labor shortages and supply chain issues. At a very reductionist way of thinking, inflation is too much money for goods and services, right? For too few goods and services. So how does New York buffer that? Letting people work and produce goods and services. If we let New Yorkers work to produce more goods and services, by default, we will buffer ourselves against inflation. It's not going to solve it. You are right. A lot of it is still the Fed and the federal government. Absolutely. But not all of it is. So we can buffer ourselves by letting more people work, making it easy to hire, easy to start businesses, easy to get out there and do things and provide services, easy to sell things, particularly local, so critical, creating local, circles of cash moving around, that is how you begin to buffer against inflation. Hope that makes sense. So yes. All right. David says model trains is a hobby, but I don't think a lot of women are in that group. That's true. However, my father, by the way, loved model trains. I did too for a while as a kid. Not as much as I got older. My father liked it even into his 40s. I was into it, but only while I was a kid. Once he passed, I lost the passion once he passed. He was my passion for trains, right? So once he was gone, I lost the passion. But I get it. So yes, but what's connected to trains? Can you find something connected to it? Can you find maybe miniatures that maybe people want to paint or want to sculpt, anything like that you might be interested in joining, right? Maybe there are people who there's a lot of people who paint some parts of their trains or paint the miniatures that go along with trains. That's artistic. So can you find some type of maybe sculpture where people then paint the sculpture, artwork, craft work that you might enjoy that's similar to trains that still might keep some of that same concept where more women might be. So I think that might be your plan in that regard. Look for that. That might work better. So yes. Shelly says, my daughter's in a new city, so she started a volleyball team to get to know more people. Thank you, volleyball team. I love that. Yes, absolutely. Joe says, listening to Larry's advice on getting a date, I think I get hit on all the time. Oh, I like that. I guess being a generation younger than the average of politically involved people in my area makes me a catch. Look at that, Joe. Getting all the women. I love it. It's awesome. So Torrance says, when do I show her my doll head collection? You can, believe it or not. I'm not joking. You can. Once you get her to respect you and like you and feel loved and respected around you, there's almost nothing you can't do. I'm just being forward. If she believes in you and trusts you and likes you, and you then, before you just show it to her, explain what it is, you might be okay. You'd be surprised. You might say, it's fine. I guess he likes it because of this reason. So yeah, absolutely. Jeanette says, make someone feel valued today and every day. Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes. So, all right. Christine says, I met my baby daddy in concert choir. Friends first, parents next, still great friends and family. Oh, Christine, what a great story. That's a great story. Thank you for that. That's so good. Yes. I like that. All right. Michael says we should create a TV channel called Sharpe TV. I'm in. Let's do it. I like it. By the way, we are coming up with a Roku channel. That is happening. So we're already on it. It'll be out, I hope soon. Yes, absolutely. Shelly says, what's happening on Wednesday? How many people should I invite? And how much popcorn? You will see. You will see. Exactly right. You will see. Byron says, yeah, I'm a Harry Brown libertarian. A lot of people are. Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. Brian says, when I was growing up, all news outlets used President whomever whenever they mentioned the president. Beginning sometime in the 80s, they stopped and began using just last without the title. This is the beginning of tribalism. Oh, interesting. So, right, they would say, right in the 80s, they'd say president. Right, they always say, got it, yes. Yeah. So instead of just going, President Ronald Reagan, President Jimmy Carter, they just start going Carter and Reagan. Interesting. Okay. Was Reagan the guy who did that? Right? Was Reagan the beginning of that? Reagan also was a very easy guy to big personality, very easy to love, very easy to hate. So I think again, similar in that regard to Trump in that regard. At policy, they aren't similar, but in big personality, I think they are. That's true. Yeah. So, all righty. Joe says, I've been told that girls like when a guy hits on them at the bookstore / library rather than a bar. Generally speaking, that's true. That's a good general rule. It's not 100%, but also depends what the woman's looking for, right? Is the woman looking to just enjoy herself and have fun? She probably prefers a bar because I think the assumption is easier for her and the man there. It's easier to make the assumption that, hey, I'm here to have fun. I think if she's looking for a relationship, I think you're right. The odds are higher. She'd rather meet at a bookstore or library because she was looking for a relationship, right? If the woman's looking for a relationship, I don't think it'll matter. That makes sense. But it depends. And are you looking for one, right? Are you looking to hook up? Go hook up. Enjoy life. right? If you're looking to have a relationship, it's a different place. Now, can you find a relationship off of Tinder or a bar? Of course you can. And people do all the time. Of course you can. What I'm saying is if you're having trouble with that and it's not if that's not working for you, try what I said. But people absolutely get relationships through dating apps and Tinder and all those things. It does work, but some people struggle with that. If you're struggling with that, try what I was talking about. I think I completely agree. The bookstore library does work, or whatever the case may be. Another good general rule. Again, it's general rules, guys. You know your people better than I do. You know yourself better than I do. The more attractive the woman is, the less you want to mention her looks. If that makes any sense, because everybody is mentioning her looks. So the more attractive she is, the less you want to mention her looks. Doesn't mean she doesn't like a compliment on her looks. Does not mean that. But you want to make that lower on your scale. It makes you different. It means you're looking at something else. If the woman isn't that attractive, then mention her attractiveness more. Find out what is attractive about it. Don't lie. If you don't think she's that hot, maybe she isn't. It's fine. But if you like her, and not every woman you like is going to be super hot, that's how it works. But if you do think she's attractive at all, find the aspects that you find attractive and focus on those, right? If you think she, and whenever you can, when you're complimenting a woman, whenever you can, compliment her more on her style versus who she is physically. If that makes any sense, right? So if the woman is very pretty in your eyes, you can say she's pretty, obviously. But if you would say something about her style, how she has her hair, or how she put on her makeup, or her clothing, or something like that, the way she carries herself, her shoes, whatever is the thing appropriate. If you're going to tell an attractive woman she's attractive, try to focus on other things like style and selection and makeup or accessories or something. It tends to be a different type, and it shows you're paying attention. And you don't only think she's hot. Again, everyone wants to look attractive. Tell them they're attractive if they are. If she isn't that attractive to you, and maybe she isn't, there are probably aspects of her that you really like or think are attractive. Focus on that, right? Maybe she isn't the most attractive woman to you, but maybe she has a great sense of style, or maybe she does her makeup very well, or maybe she has beautiful accessories or something, or her whatever. Focus on that, right? Whatever the case may be. Maybe she's a wonderful smile. Focus on that. I think it's the odds are higher that she'll be open to you talking. The odds are higher. And again, it's just an odds game. Some women are not going to be into you. Doesn't matter what you do. Just not going to be into you. And some women aren't looking. So it doesn't matter what you do. They're not looking. So it doesn't matter. So you're just trying to stack the odds in your favor and hope for the best result. That's it. So yes. All right. Let's see. Josh says apparently the Department of Homeland Security is on the lookout for American assault trucks participating in domestic terrorism. Sadly, that's true, Josh. See, the problem is people buying these assault trucks. We got to ban the assault trucks. We messed that up. We didn't ban assault trucks. That's the issue. There we go. All right. Let's see here. All right. Grab a couple more if I can. Brian says 64, if I remember correctly, was the last of the booms. Yes, right. 65, right. Thank you, Brian. 65 begins Gen Xer. 65, and I'm 68. So I'm an older generation. Yes. Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Ryan, hey Larry, got your show blasting the bowling alley and just shot out 300. You shot at 3. Wow, Ryan, well done. I used to bowl as a youth, and I don't think I've ever bowled more than like 220. Probably the highest I've ever bowled. I haven't bowled in a long time. I should bowl again. Probably 230 maybe is the highest I've ever bowled. I don't remember. It's in that area. I don't think I remember ever broke 250. I don't think ever. So that's awesome. Good for you. That's good. Yes. All right. See if I keep going down here. Logic says, hey, party peoples, damn, I'm so late. I know, but we still love you. It's fine. Yes, absolutely. We still love you. So, all right. Avi says, Larry, as much as I would love to see you win, the Republicans would offer you a seat in the cabinet of the next Republican governor or offer you lieutenant governor, would you take it to consolidate libertarians and rub to beat the Dems? No, Republican cannot win. They offer me lieutenant governor every time. They already have already and did last time too. So no. So I can sit in a Republican ticket and just lose again? This is New York State. The Republican's not going to win. That's just a fantasy. The Republican is not going to win. I don't see how so many people think that's going to happen. Never. Not going to win. It is impossible. I know this state very well. Most, I'm exaggerating. A lot, that's better. A whole lot of people who would vote Republican have left the state, and even more of them this last year. You have to find a uniter, someone who can put together 2 or 3 or 4 groups of people together in a coalition to do that. That's not a Republican. That's libertarian. They need to pull their heads out of the derrieres and actually go, you know what? Why don't we support Larry Sharpe Libertarian? Versus why don't we try to put him on our team somehow and see if he can draw some people? No, that's silly. Have you seen what the Republicans are saying? The Republicans in New York State are saying things like, we got to make sure we beat Hoku. Okay, great. How? By beating her. How? She's terrible. We all know this. And she's still popular. Have you seen the recent polling? She's still over 50%. Yes, she's still popular. So saying how bad she is just alienates half of your voting base. It's not the right answer. That's all they do. What's your policy or answer? I'm a Republican and not her. The I'm not her thing is not going to work in New York State. Too many of them are like, she's fine. So we have to find someone who can unite them. No Republican can do that. They just can't. They're too busy yelling about being Republican. Not going to work. So I won't do it because I'll just waste my time and energy. And then why would I do that? Just so I can, I don't know. Why would I do that? There's nothing for me to gain, nothing for the state to gain, nothing but loss. It's nothing but loss. So yes. All right. If I grab a couple of these here. All right. Gene says, I love model trains because of my mom and my uncle. There we go. Yes. All right. Let's see here. Logic says, so what are the chances of Hoku actually getting elected? I think it would be proper to let her ego in the stratosphere and she will go full send tyrant god queen. I think the odds of her winning are actually relatively high. I think they're relatively high. She's going to have to make some mistakes for her to lose this thing. And the only person who can win this thing is some outsider. Republican can't win. So it's got to be some outsider. Could be me, maybe. But some outsider, for sure. Otherwise, she has to win. Absolutely, yes. Paul says, broad question, but do you see inflation getting worse in 2022? 100% yes. Yeah. My worry is a crash, right? That's my worry. Because at one point, how do you keep putting money in? At one point, we got to stop putting money in. My worry is a crash. But yes, I do see it getting worse. Yes. So, yeah. All right. So I can grab here. Jimmy says, lots of speculation for Wednesday. Get on Clubhouse on Wednesday. I'll be running a room promoting it all day. Most secrets were revealed on Clubhouse. There we go. I like that. All right. Renee says, when did you become a dating expert? Years ago. This is something I haven't told a lot of people because it's not something I do that much of. But when people ask me for help, many people have used me for all types of help, whether it's marital relations, finding a date. It's very difficult for those of you who live in New York City. It's very difficult for women to find men and marry them or have children with them in New York, in New York City. It's difficult. It's harder than many places because New York City is filled up to the top with lonely people who don't talk to each other and don't live next to each other and don't hook each other up. It's hard without apps and such. It's difficult to find real love. It's tough, particularly for women. So I've had a couple people who've asked me to help them get married, and I did. I'm not 100%. I'm like 3 out of 4. Yeah, I think 3 out of 4. So yeah, so of course I'll do that. Whatever people want. What's the issue? I try to get people to communicate better. It's what I try to do. I try to get people to understand how to talk to each other. It's kind of what I do. So it becomes sometimes a dating expert sometimes because of that, right? You're trying to create environments where people will meet, environments where people will connect. That's what it is. So if you do that right, you get better. But it's always, whenever it comes to people, no matter what, you got to think of people like a bell curve. If that makes any sense, right? It's a bell curve. Many people in any given environment will fall into that big center spot. There's always outliers. There's always going to be people who it does, whatever you're doing doesn't work with or aren't there. You will be that person sometimes, Renee. Sometimes it'll be me. So it's an odds thing. You're stacking the deck in your favor, but you just never know what you're going to come up against. People are different and they change and shift and adjust, but they fall into a bell curve. So most will, fall in line with certain things. Most will, but some won't. So yes. So that's from Paul. I'm sorry. Words are wise. I met my ex on lockdown. Is that IG? Sorry, IG. Sorry, IG back in 2014. Obviously, it didn't end well. What you will do with that info? And yeah, happy Valentine's Day. I thank you, Logic. I don't know what. Thanks for sharing. I guess. Yes, I love that. Torrent says, Larry, compliment me on our specific traits. Me, feet. That's not a bad thing. If a woman is wearing open-toed shoes and she has a lovely pedicure, you could mention that if you want to. It's something you could do. It depends upon, what if a woman is not wearing an attention-grabbing shoe, that's going to seem weird. But if she's wearing an attention-grabbing shoe, right? Maybe it's open-toed, maybe nice pedicure, maybe she has, maybe it's very special or shiny or sparkly or trendy. If she's wearing that, I think it's the perfect thing. If she's doing that, if she's just like, I don't know, wearing Converse, that may be weird. But you could. It depends upon where you are too, right? Where are you? What is it, a wedding where everyone is trying to dress up and that kind of thing? Or is she wearing flip-flops at the beach? It might be kind of odd. So anyway, any of those things could work. Possibly. Absolutely. So, all right. So I can grab here a couple more. Joe says, when I compliment a girl, I do something she had a choice to do, like hair. Yes. Thank you, Joe. That's usually the best reaction. That is usually the best reaction. Absolutely. That you have a better chance of her connecting, going, oh, okay, this guy's paying attention. Much better. I agree. Yes, absolutely. So Elaine says, this is basic. I always tell my kids to focus on what people can control and kindness. Beauty comes from within. Also very true. Many of you watching, listening, have met somebody that initially you weren't attracted to. You're like, whatever. Or you didn't like them. You thought they were unattractive. One of those two things. They were not attracted to you, or they were unattractive, one or the other. But as you got to know them, they seem to get more attractive. I think that happens with many of us. We like, right, who they are, or we connect with them in some way. And all of a sudden, all right, he's not so bad looking, or she's not so bad looking after all, or she's better looking, or he's better looking all of a sudden. I think it's very true. So that's what I'm saying. I think, to, I guess, Joe's point, you want to meet people when they're not focusing on looks, like the whatever library or the bookstore or the whatever, where we're not focusing on looks. And then you get to know the person. If you get to know them and they become less attractive, lucky you. You get to not date them because you realize they're not good people. So it's great. But if you get to know them and all of a sudden they become more attractive, home run for you too. Yes. So yes. All right. Let me keep going down here. Shelly says, I hate bowling. I can never make a basket. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Paula says, Fox is barely showing the poor guy who's running as Republican New York governor. No one knows who he is, so it's fine. I mean, I guess some people do, but no. No one knows who he is. Yes. Gwenda says, Larry, show up the date doctor. I like that. I'll be that. Whatever. I want to make New Yorkers happy. If that's what it takes, I'm in. Whatever it takes. If you're happy, you don't leave New York because you're happy here. If you're happy, you go to school here. You start a career here. You start a business here. You raise kids here. You raise your family here. You retire here. So if that's what it takes, Gwenda, I'm in. Yes, I want New Yorkers to be happy. Happiness matters. It absolutely does matter. 100%. Yes. Charlie says, if you ever watch Larry doing his day job, it's all about relationships and how they affect the business or organization. Yes. I'm not surprised you'd have dating advice. You're correct, Shelley. You've read me perfectly. That's what I do. It's all about relationships. 100%. Yes. Logic says, I usually go for the hair compliment. That's not bad. It can work. Do something different. Damn it, Joe stole my line. Yeah, whatever works for you, right? You got to find the thing you feel comfortable saying, right? You got to feel comfortable with what you feel is right, and that they feel comfortable too. You don't want to make them feel creepy, right? So like Tony was talking about the shoe thing or the foot thing. It's got to be appropriate, right? She's got to be wearing the shoe that's begging for attention. If she's wearing that, please do it. If she's not, it's going to seem weird. So you got to find the right one. Yes. So, all right. Juan says, my friend who recently switched Libertarian from Republican, yes, was worried about your recent poll numbers and was very confused by my enthusiasm. I told her the goal was to get you mentioned in the polls because that's what will get you on the stage. Once that happens, you'll win. Thank you. And for those of you who didn't know, a recent Zogby poll came out, and I polled that 6%. The Republican polled at 30% or 29%, and the governor, Hoku, polled at 50%, and the rest were non-committal. The biggest issue is I polled at 6%. That's amazing. Running on one line, Libertarian, I polled 6% in New York State, 10 months or 11 months before the election, and I haven't even officially announced. Not a bad deal. Nothing but up to go from that one. So you're right. And now if I'm in the polls all the time, I become the guy who's in the poll. I become the third party. I become the independent candidate. So I have to be in the debate stage. Yes, you are correct. And once you get in the debate stage, ball game is over. That is correct. You have read that perfectly, Juan. 100%. You've read that perfectly. Yes. So, all right. Let's see here. Let's see if I can go down here. Shelley says that line wouldn't work on the men in my family. Most of them are bald. Yeah. So, the person should probably have hair. That's true. Yes, they should probably have hair. Absolutely, yes. Paula says 6% is great. I agree. 6% is awesome. With 6%, you know how much growth I have? And the best part is they did a poll where they did it without me in it and then with me in it. With me in it, I pick up 6 points. I take 1 from Democrats, 1 from undecided, and 4 from the Republican. Now, that's actually not good enough. I really do want to gain more from independents and more from Democrats. I want to gain more from those two. But the point is, I always talk trash about, I'm the only one who can create a coalition. I'm the only one who can get Democrats, Republicans, and independents together. Avi, I'm telling you, Avi, Republican can't do that. I do that. Right? I said it when I ran last time. About 25% of people who voted for me last time were registered Democrats. And this poll showed that. I can absolutely create a coalition. We have to have a coalition to beat the establishment Democrat in this state, or we will not. There's no way of winning without creating a coalition of Republicans, pissed off Democrats, Libertarians, other independents, and those who don't vote. You put those 5 together, she's beatable. You don't, it's tough, which is why Republicans should be smart and give me their line. They give me their line, I will be able to put that coalition together. The poll's another example of that. My last run was an example of that. I put together coalitions. You put together coalitions, you can win this thing. Otherwise, Democrat wins. That's how it works. Coalition or Democrat. This is New York State. That's how it works. So, yes. Renee says, Shelley, haven't seen Larry doing his day job. He seems so serious about his dating advice. I knew he was a consultant, but thought it ran along the lines of working with businesses, not individuals. Individuals within businesses. Yes, that's what I do. Individuals within businesses. How do you think I know so much about how the wealthy work, how they think? They're my clients. That's how I know how they think. That's how I know how they work. Why do you think I can say so much about how executives think, how they work? They're my clients. And I've also been in the office in a public company twice. So I've been those executives also. So that's how. Yes. So, all right. Let's see here. David says, what you need to get into debates, I could send you some more money. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. Every bit counts. Guys, if you want to, David wants to support me. If you want to support me too, you can send right there, LarrySharpe.com/donate. help me get across this state, help me save New York to the best of my ability. It does help. Thank you, David. Every little bit counts. Someone's got to pay for the polls. They're expensive. Someone's got to buy advertisements. They're expensive. Absolutely. So thank you for that, David. I really appreciate your support. Absolutely. Yes. So Joe says governor race RCB this time. It is not ranked choice voting. No, we do not have that this year in New York State for the governor. Only for the Democratic primary in New York City. That's it. Only Democratic primary in New York City. That's all. You think he's continues saying $50,000? Okay, Joe, I would love. I know you want to give me 50 grand. I know you do, but you can't. It is too much. New York State, all you can give me is 44,000. I'm not joking. You can't give me 44,000. I know you don't. It's fine. I'm just saying the actual, just so I don't get myself in trouble, the actual maximum you can give a gubernatorial candidate in New York State is $44,000. So please don't give any more than that. I know you're ready to give me more. It's fine. I do appreciate it. Yes. So, all right. Logic Rex says conservatives / Republicans voters should realize by now that the real wasted vote is in voting for a rhino, because those are the only Republicans that exist in New York now. Here's the problem, right? And it's a real problem here. If you voted for anyone other than me in 2018, what did you get? You got the same old thing. If you wanted the same old thing, well done. Your vote was the right vote, right? If you wanted the same old thing, you got that. And if you voted for one of those people, well done. That was a well-placed vote. It's what you wanted. You got it. If you wanted any change and you voted for not me, what did you get? Disappointed. All the people who were running in 2018, they're all gone. Only I'm here. Everyone else left. If you voted for me, what did you do? You actually invested your vote. How do we know? I'm at 6% from 0%. That was your investment. You invested in me. You invested in the campaign. You invested in me going out, making things happen. You invested in the vote. That 6% is because a whole bunch of New Yorkers and non-New Yorkers invested in my campaign. I didn't go away. I kept going. I'm still going. We're trying to make this state work. A vote for me was an actual investment. Every other vote, unless you wanted the same old thing, was a wasted vote. For those of you who wanted the same old thing, well done. You got what you wanted. But a whole lot of New Yorkers did not want that. Did not. So David says, where did they come up with a $44,000 number? By the way, in Iowa, there is no limit on non-federal candidates. You can give Rick Stewart, Libertarian for Governor, now 50 grand if you want to. Look at that. I don't know how, Dave. They New York State just like makes up stuff. And that's one of the things they made up. Companies can only give $5,000. I don't know why that number. And people can give $44,000 because laws. That's the reason. They just made it up. That's the number. And they may change it. In fact, next year it changes, actually goes up. It goes to 40, another random number. It goes to 47,100. Same reason, David, because somebody said that's the answer. I love that. Renee says, I got a commitment from a family member to vote for you. Thank you, Renee. I appreciate that so much. That is so good. Everyone does count. I appreciate it. Yes, absolutely. So, guys, I want to bring it up again if I could, because I tried to bring it up often, and I do want to bring it up again. Like, comment, share. It does matter. Please take some time to like, comment, and share. It is an important thing to do. It does make us move forward. If you want to support me running around New York State, please, LarrySharpe.com/donate. It's always going to help. Every bit counts. We're trying to raise tons of money if we can. As always, if you want to support the show, Libertarianism.com. Click that link. Take some of those video tests. Share the links so others can take it. People are upset. What about the libertarian stuff? It's a great place for people to see. It's about happiness and selfishness and all the things you might think of that people care about. It does matter. It does support the show. It's important. I appreciate all the help you guys give me. Guys, thank you so much for this evening. I appreciate it. I'll be on tomorrow at noon on WYSL Radio, A Free Solution. So I'll see you guys then. I hope if you're available at noon tomorrow Eastern. And then you will see me in a special place on Wednesday evening. Pay attention to our social media, and you'll find out what that is. Guys, have a great night.